Baker Mayfield. He's back in Tampa on a 3-year, $100 million contract extension with $50 million of that guaranteed. The contract can max out to $115 million with all those added bonuses and incentives and whatnot. I don't know, was this the right move for the Bucs to re-sign Baker to a long-term deal?
Well, it looks like a long-term deal, but they can get out of it after 1 year, right? He can wind up making $40 million, and they can say goodbye to him. And $40 million is quarterback speak these days for anybody who's any good. Is not a ton of money anymore. So I think the Bucs made a very good deal. And I'm happy for Baker Mayfield. I hope he is able to play out that contract. If he falters though, and they wind up not making the playoffs or wind up third in their division, he could be there just 1 year, making that $40 million and then gone. But I think it's nice that he got a good contract and has the opportunity to make as much as $115 million. He's had 8 coaches and 7 offensive coordinators and 4 different teams in his NFL career so far. The offensive coordinator that he did well under left and now is the Carolina Panthers coach. The guy that's coming in, Liam Cohn, is the Rams' former offensive coordinator that he was with when he was at the Rams for those few games a couple of years ago. So maybe he'll do well with him because he surprised when he was at the Rams and some of the games he got into and played. He surprised people in terms of how well he did. Not knowing the offensive scheme, actually came in like he was there for 3 days, and they went out and won a game for them. So it was pretty impressive.
It was against the Raiders. Their defense was not
but still,
stellar.
I mean,
it was very, very impressive. Yeah. I'm not going to fully short it.
I mean, he didn't start the game, and when he wasn't in there, they were doing terrible.
Yeah.
When he got in there, he gave them a spark, and they were behind when he came in. They wound up winning.
Yeah. So everybody knows, if you watch the show and we talked about either the Bucs or Baker Mayfield, that I had a really, really bad take. Ended up, feeling the wrath not only from viewers and having to swallow my pride on it, but also from you hearing that, oh yeah, you said Baker Mayfield was never going to be a starter again. Yeah, I'll swallow that. Yeah, I was wrong about that. When it comes to this
$100 million contract,
$100 million is a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
It is a lot of money. But I think he deserves it. He played well last season. My only concern about this contract, and that's why it's structured in the way it is, it's not at the same level because he played better, but it's the Daniel Jones syndrome. This is what I'm going to call it now. If a player who's not been great his entire career and then on a major contract year plays great and they pay him a lot of money, we got to be wary about this. Is it just the fact that he's playing for the contract, or is it because he's legitimately a really good quarterback? And we haven't seen it until this point due to either a bad coach, bad system, too many coaches, whatever, just bad organization, whatever the case may be. Or was it the fact that he grew up and became a better quarterback? That's my only major concern with Baker. What version of Baker are we going to get? Because we saw Daniel Jones regress back to his pre-contract self. It was very, very smart for the Bucs to go out and pay Mike Evans the way they did. It was good that they signed Chris Godwin to the extension when Brady was there. They have a couple nice pieces. I like Trey Palmer. I think he might be an interesting slot receiver, young receiver that could, he's not going to become, a Mike Evans or a Devontae Adams or whatever, but I think he could be a nice shifty little piece for the Bucs. There's 2 major problems. The first one would be, like I said, what version of Baker are we getting? The second one would be having somewhat of a balanced offense. For yet another year, they rank dead last in running the football. Can they develop any sort of a run game? Because if they can't, we may see Baker Mayfield regress slightly, and it might not even be his fault. It might just be he's aging. People are understanding how Baker plays within the system of the Bucs. He's going to be in year 2 with them. Can they run the ball effectively? Because if they can't, there's going to be some major problems. Not only that, you lost your center, Ryan Jensen. He retired. So now you have Robert Hainsey as your starting center. Now, will you draft an offensive lineman? Maybe. You might. But if you can't keep up that offensive line that was pretty good from the time Brady was there up until kind of when Baker was there, the offensive line was not too bad. if you can maintain a good offensive line, give Baker some time, he could be nice in the pocket against average teams to sometimes good teams. But if you can't have that offensive line, that means no great pass protection, so Baker doesn't have time, and then obviously no run game. Even with the decent offensive line, you still can run the ball. You need a difference maker on offense when it comes to running the football because basically your offensive line is good. We'll have to wait and see how Ryan Jensen, how that piece, affects the entire offense. You may draft a shocking great center. Who knows? You have your wide receivers in place. I don't mind Cade Otton being your tight end. Would I like a better one? Obviously for the Bucs' sake, but he's perfectly fine. You have wide receivers. You need a running game. And then what version of Baker are we getting? If all those things hit, offensive line's fine. Wide receivers are who they are. Mike Evans has another 1,000-yard season like he tends to do. And then, you have a somewhat balanced running game. Offensive line holds up. I'd say that you could make an argument Bucs could win 11, 12 games.
Yeah, well, I think they're going to win the division.
Right. So, but I think all those things have to hit because even when Mike Evans had another 1,000-yard season, Chris Godwin played well. Offensive line held up. They had the dead last ranked running attack in the NFL. They barely won the worst division in football with a 9-8 record. Now, albeit Baker Mayfield played slightly better and had a better record than Brady did at the very end of his Bucs run, but still 9-8 in the worst division in football.
Yeah,
with a few of those things hitting.
Yeah.
Offensive
Do you think
line,
he might have gotten
receivers.
more money if he'd held out longer? Maybe with another team? Do you think he might have gotten a bigger contract?
No.
You don't think so?
I don't think, because he also made this notion that he wants, he wants to get paid for his performance. I would say with $33.3 million, give or take, I'd say that's a good enough deal for Baker because of his history and, for the way he played. He played perfectly fine.
I think, your analogy to the Daniel Jones contract.
Daniel Jones syndrome.
I would say Baker Mayfield had a good year with the Cleveland Browns and got him to the playoffs. 1 year, so I think he played better prior.
But why did they win that
Daniel
playoff
Jones.
game, though? Why did they win? Why did they win that playoff game? It was like 48 to 28 or something like that. Their defense suffocated, crippled Big Ben. Big Ben was not good at the end of his run. No, really, no quarterback who ages.
He
plays
still
well.
did get him to the playoffs.
He did. He
Right.
did. I believe,
So-
if I'm not mistaken, they were 11-0 that season, lost their last 5 games. I might be wrong on that, but they lost a number of games at the very, very end.
Yeah.
And then they turned out to be frauds. Now, ironically, Baker did the same thing this season. The Eagles were 11-1, lost the last, some of their games, and beat that team in the first round of the playoffs. So the fact that he got bounced around and didn't play well in Carolina, then he has this one good year with Tampa, I think there needs to be some level of caution, and that's why I think the
that's why they
contract
can
is
get off
structured
him.
the way
They can
it is.
get off him after 1 year. They were thinking about that, and I think they got a contract that's fair to both sides. Actually,
Yeah.
if Baker Mayfield continues to perform well, he'll make $100 million. If he doesn't, he's gone after his first 40, which is not a bad payday.
Absolutely not. So Baker's back in Tampa. We will obviously have to wait and see, but I think a lot of Bucs fans are very, very happy that Baker is back. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, if you want to check out the full episode, make sure you click the I in the top right-hand corner right now. If you want to listen to this show anywhere you go, make sure you go to anchor.fm/The Harvey Hour or anywhere you get your podcasts.